All right, so we're almost done with the simulation part proper. I just want to throw a few microsolvers in to kind of break up. We still got this like kind of very chunky, blobby look to this that's, not really as good as it should be. So that's what we use our microsolvers for. So make a merge node. This last one here says forces, so that's where I like to put it. First things first, gas disturb, our favorite node. They've changed it a good deal in Houdini 18. It still does the same thing ultimately in the same top level way, where we have a reference scale, which is like roughly the size of the features, where to do it, and how strong to do it. But they've changed a lot of it under the hood now, and honestly, it works really great now. You don't need to change that much. Now, it's probably just too strong right now, so it's really tearing it apart. I think it's tearing it apart too much. So I'm going to bring this down by a factor of 10, like so. So now this is nice. So now we don't have the blobs anymore. See, now it's nice and like kind of fuzzy. So that's cool. I mean, that's really enough. We're not going to go so crazy with our sim in this lesson, but that'll still look nice regardless. Let's make a gas turbulence for bigger displacement of like the idle wind currents. Gas disturb is really the little micro currents in the air. It's the interface between the heat and smoke with the idle air doing its little things that it does. But the gas turbulence is more of the macro, bigger things. By default, the settings are kind of quite for small features too. So we need to make the swirl size way bigger. So now you can see how huge and smooth these changes are. And let's make it just not do it that much. I just want a very subtle movement around to just kind of swirl up stuff that's been there floating in the air for a while. And we turned off before the dissipation. So let's just make one now, our own, that's better and cooler. And I'm just going to have the diffusion just do a little bit. How about we have it do, try at 0.1, see what that does. It might be, it's probably too much. This sim just isn't that long that it really should dissipate that much anyway. So I'm going to say diffuse out a little bit and delete out a little more than that. But I want to keep kind of a lot of the detail. If you make diffusion too high, it just blurs everything together. And you just have a soup. So this is a nice way to do it. Don't be afraid of diffusing things. A lot of times with CG, people are like, oh, but I want to see all the details. And it's like, well, in real life, the smoke diffuses pretty fast. And it does kind of turn into a blah, especially in the older area. So I will try to keep diffusion down for your sake. But, uh-oh, look, we're losing some of the cache. As we're playing, we're losing the cache over there. If you have a lot of RAM, you might as well go to the cache setting here and just increase this. Now I'm dedicating 50 gigs to the cache. It could be nice to just not worry about losing the in-memory cache and just having that be super high. Now I can run this whole sim and it won't run out of thing. Okay, so we added our microsolvers. We may need to tweak it later. This is still a relatively low-res sim. But nonetheless, it's still quite fast. I mean, if we look at this, 200 by 200 by 144 is referring to the theoretical voxels that it would be if every single voxel was being used. It's obviously it's using much less, as we've talked about endlessly, because it's sparse. But it's a good point of comparison anyway. Typically we've said try to get like a 600 by 600 by 600 if you can. So this is a low res no matter how we slice it. But we'll be able to go to higher numbers here than we would normally get to in a dense pyrosim. because so much of it is not really being used, as you'll see. All right, so they're done. We're done with the shape of the smoke.